The biggest story this week perhaps has been the 2G verdict, which brought to an end a 7-year-long drama where we saw the top politicians in this country, top corporates go to jail. At the end of it, Judge O.P. Saini was unequivocal when he said no scam was there at all. So what does one say after having gone through 7 years of struggle of fighting for justice and after having spent time in jail despite being one of the top politicians? Well, to talk about that, to understand a little bit more about what it was like from their perspective to be a party, one of the main contenders in this entire thing, with me, Rajya Sabha MP Kanimozhi. Thank you so much for giving us time. You know, I just wanted to ask you, I saw you, all your pictures yesterday and all of that. It must be really, I can't even imagine what it must be feeling like to have experienced that all. Can you just recap for us what it was like?
Yesterday, yes, it came as a big relief, and I mean, everybody was happy, and it was like a big burden, taken off. Yeah, I mean, you can look at the past 7 years two ways. It was a learning process also. You understand politics, what happens, and what people can do. To be honest, I started reading the Mahabharata in the prison, and you've always thought that, it's exaggerated. I mean, it's a beautiful book about, people and what they can do, and how low people can stoop to, and what politics, the game of politics, Till then, you don't think you believe it is very exaggerated. But then, when you go through it, you come to understand that anything is possible, anything can happen to anybody, and so that way, yes, it was a learning experience. But I will say that it was a harrowing experience also, and you never expected that to happen, and to be accused of corruption is not an easy thing. It's very painful.
It must be, but do you remember, Kani, that in 2011, the day before the notice you were supposed to appear in court, we did an interview.
Yes.
And I clearly remember what you said. You said to me at that time, I'm prepared for I remember you were very stressed out. I can see the difference right away because it is my second interview with you after that time. And you said to me, I'm prepared for the worst. Yesterday morning, were you again prepared for the worst?
We knew that if the court goes by the merits of the case, definitely that everybody will be let off and the case will not stand. But then you can never be sure. You are also, you hope for the best, but you're also prepared for the worst. And to be honest, yes, I was.
You were. That basically that they would convict everyone?
Not, you don't know really. Unless he says it could be anything.
Yeah. And what was the scariest bit about that? When you thought about that, when you were preparing yourself, just like in 2011 for whatever possibility, when you thought about that, what was the scariest part? Jail?
Not really. My family, my child, my husband, my mother, and my immediate family, and people who loved me, they would be really hurt, and I would feel very bad about that and guilty. That is what I was worried about. And actually yesterday, the mad rush there, trying to get into court, I think our concentration got
diverted. Were they all your supporters? I was outside. We couldn't get a glimpse of you. Were they all your supporters?
No, but then still we couldn't get into court. That was a bigger challenge than anything else. So I think it took our minds off.
All of that.
What the verdict was going to be. It was more important to get into the court.
Yeah, it got delayed a bit as well.
Yes.
10, 50 years.
No, we really couldn't get in.
Yeah. No, so all of those people, they were all, what's interesting also, and I think Mr. A. Raja says it quite a lot. He's written that long letter to your father today, and he said that, that would be obvious for you, but he said that Mr. Karunanidhi, and he calls him Thalaiva, I think, right?
Talaivar.
Yeah. And he says that I saw unflinching support from my party, and I think with Mr. Raja you can really see that. And in politics, I guess that's very important, right? Like, who stands by you?
Definitely. I mean, that is what I told you. It was a learning process, and yes, you know who your friends are and who will stand by you and what your party is. So I think DMK has proved that it would stand by its cadres.
I'll come to the case later on, because now the politics of it, because it's very exciting right now what's happening in Tamil Nadu. The RK Nagar elections are coming, right? So I want to ask you, because Raja has his own ideas about the impact of this case. I want to ask you, because Kani, you're as you said, you weren't political when you started out. You're a literary mind. You write poetry. You're reading Mahabharata in jail. What do you think was the impact of this, the fallout of this case? Because we've heard from the corporates, we've heard from the politicians. What do you think was the impact of this personally and for the DMK's fortunes?
See, it is just not the DMK or personally also. You know that this case was built on a notion and presumption.
Presumption of the fact that it cost a lot of money.
Exactly,
right,
to the exchequer.
Right.
So, the licenses were cancelled. It had a huge impact on the economy, on business. That nobody can deny. I mean, today the case has fallen apart. But then it has affected the country, it has affected employment, it has affected the economy. We cannot deny that. I mean, it's just not DMK which was affected, it's just not me, or, it's not a political thing. It's much more than that. And it's shaken the faith of many companies, many investors in India. Like, once you get the licenses, you invest, then any minute it can be taken away from you.
Right.
So there's so many other sides to this whole issue. Yes, it was like, it was a whole conspiracy to malign the name of DMK, and it affected us a lot. But today, and the sad thing was, nobody was even prepared to listen to our side of the story and what explanations we were giving. Everybody believed in something and they wanted to believe in it. No, see, when somebody said there is a scam, I think people and the media found it more interesting,
right,
to believe that there is something. Nobody wanted to listen to the other side of the story.
Right.
So today, like, when the case has fallen apart, DMK has come clean. So I think it's a weapon taken off from the opposition hands.
Do you think that led to DMK's not doing well in the elections as well?
No, I cannot say that was the cause. There were many other factors also. And
right.
Yes, this could have also added to it in a big way.
In one of the things that you say, that the case was happening, and it also led to the split in the UPA, right, of the DMK walking out.
Definitely not. When the Kalaignar TV office, after it was raided, and when we were questioned by the CBI, I think we were having alliance talks with the Congress.
Right.
So that was not what led to the split. And even after the case, I think we went ahead in that election and we went with the Congress.
Right.
In the assembly election. So definitely this case did not split the UPA alliance. It was much later that the DMK decided to move away from the Congress on the Sri Lankan issue.
Yes, but you don't think that the distrust, the fact that all of you, that Karunanidhi ji, he stood by A. Raja. He was like the, like the new Dalit icon in Tamil Nadu, and you were of course his daughter. The fact that, because whatever you say, while the government stance at that time was CBI is autonomous, but many, I think, and I think Mr. Raja feels that somebody was made a scapegoat, that they needed someone, because at that time Anna Hazare's movement was happening and somebody needed to be punished for this. The fact that I think the whole concept was that if licenses were given not by auctions but by first come first serve, it was a cabinet decision.
Yes, it was a cabinet decision, and more than that, the auctioning process and the policy was in place much before the DMK took over that department.
Right.
I mean, it's been there even during the BJP, then other ministers also followed it, and the DMK ministers also followed the same
Right.
process. It's not something new which suddenly came up.
Right, exactly. But so the fact that you were on, you as well, and I think what Rebecca John, your lawyer, kept saying was, why should Kanimozhi be indicted in the charge sheet when she wasn't even a director in this case? So I think
the whole charge sheet was, like, if I can explain it from my point of view.
Yes, please.
See, I was not a director.
Yeah.
And I was a director for 14 days before the launch of the channel.
Right.
And I had resigned.
Yeah.
And it is on document.
Yeah.
We had filed it with the ROC. And the CBI said I had attended board meetings after the resignation.
Right.
And a particular board meeting where they made a decision about the money coming into Kalinga TV. And I was not there in the board meeting.
Yeah.
It is on record. My signature is not there. And I never attended any board meeting, not even AGM meetings, after my resignation. And I was a 20% stakeholder.
Yes.
And I've never shown any
60%
interest.
was your stepmother. Yeah.
I've never shown any interest in the running of the Kalinga TV or what's happening. I've never signed any checks. I'm not a decision-making authority, nor I was taking any decisions financially. And I had no clue about what was happening. And somebody who came to court, Ashirvadam Achari, who openly said in court that he doesn't even know where the Kalinga TV office is, he said, I'm an active brain. And the charge sheet was also filed on based on that.
And he's now joined the BJP.
Yes, he's in the BJP. And see, I'm saying facts which the CBI knew were not true. They brought it into the charge sheet and filed a charge sheet.
Which is why the judge calls it well choreographed.
Definitely. So, I mean, I'm saying even in my case, when I had nothing to do with it, I had resigned much before the whole thing. And I've never been a minister. I haven't held a cabinet post. I haven't been able to, I've never been in a position where I can make a policy decision or influence it. That is how, I was quite new to the politics also. In that stage, my name has been brought into the charge sheet and I've been sent to prison. So I'm saying, based on this, you can understand how this case was built.
Yes.
It was to tarnish the image of the DMK, and it was a conspiracy to make sure DMK does not return to power.
But whose conspiracy?
See, I won't say, I cannot really say who conspired. There were a lot of forces. It could be corporate forces, it could be political forces, it could be because of ideological differences.
Because what's interesting is that it can only be the government who has the power to do that.
Many people benefited out of it. Where did this CAG come up with this number? 1,76,000 crores. Where did it come up with this number? And that too, it's not like 1,76,000 crores. It can be they say it can be 57,000 crores to 1 lakh.
CBI said 22,000 to 30,000.
Yeah, exactly. So, even there's such a big difference, a gap.
Huge difference.
So, and they started.
And you know what? Judge O.P. Saini in his 1500-page order doesn't even mention what is the value of that case.
Yes.
He doesn't even talk about the value of the case.
Actually, I was shocked when I saw that huge stack.
Which one?
In his order.
Yeah.
It ran into thousands of pages.
Have you read the entire thing?
Please.
You got some people tell me, okay, am I off that side? No, so yours.
No, he said
Who
that.
said?
The judge said that.